Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And we give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite sports icons and athletes. I'm Boom Gonzalez, and in tonight's Game Plan, we'll break down some of the big games over the weekend in the PBA Commissioner's Cup, including Barangay Ginebra's epic comeback versus the San Miguel Beermen.
We'll also talk about the teams that scored important wins over the weekend in the UAAP Season 85 men's basketball. And we'll look back at the games that made headlines in the PVL Reinforced Conference. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. From a classic Never Say Die comeback win to an epic fourth quarter show courtesy of Algin Melesio, this weekend saw amazing action from the PBA Commissioner's Cup. Now joining us for tonight's PBA Rundown is PBA Rush analyst Coach Luigi Trillo. Coach, welcome to the game. Hope you're doing okay.
Hey guys, nice to see you. Hey Boom, hey Pao.
Coach.
All right, Coach. So let's start off first with that win for Barangay Ginebra against the San Miguel Beermen. Another day, another Ginebra comeback. They were down by 19 points at one point, going to the fourth quarter, down by 17. And for some reason, Coach, Scotty Thompson hit another clutch three-pointer. What do you make of that game?
Yeah, well, we're suki na there before Scotty hit the three also with us in Meralco, no? But, you know, Ginebra never say die. You know that once they start catching up and they get the crowd on their feet and they feel a run, they're used to that, no? An amazing run by them. Obviously, no Junmar Fajardo in this one, no Stan Hardinger, but just the patience and the trust Brownlee had kicking to Scotty there. I mean, that's why these guys have won so many championships. They know how to play together. And, you know, they're starting to feel it. You know, Ginebra gets scarier and scarier to play against once they start in a rhythm. And, you know, they're used to starting slow. But when the playoffs start, they kind of get a good feel of each other.
It definitely felt like, you know, playoff atmosphere. Coach, I felt like San Miguel had the answer all throughout the game. They had answers to all these spurts, mini runs, and then the big one. What fueled the comeback then, and what got them over the top eventually? I mean, other than the three-point shot, but just how did they inch closer slowly?
Well, you know, I look at Ginebra, their versatility, no? And you look at the Malonzo started it. They have a lot of young guys there. Gray just had 9 minutes. I think this team has a lot of guys who can play multiple positions, and they're a scary team to play against because you have guys who can play combo 3 and 4. They didn't have Stan in this one. They only had Japet, but I think Brownlee, who's normally a 2-3, can play 4-5. And I saw their depth. Without Stan, they've added a lot of pieces. They've added Gray, they've added Malonzo, Nards Pinto. I think the thing to see here is that they can face a San Miguel. San Miguel has the depth. Tim Stone's teams know not to panic, and you need a spark. And once they get several shots in and they feel the crowd going, the crowd kind of feed off, right? So it's like they're playing in their home court. And I think that's what fuels them. You know, we've been there. I've been there where we have 20-point leads with Ginebra, and then slowly but surely they come back, and it's hard to stop. It's really hard to stop when they're feeling it.
Yeah, and Coach, obviously right now they're near the top part of the standings, still trying to chase a twice-to-beat spot. So let's see whether or not they'll make it. But speaking about the teams in that particular part of the standings, Converge has been surprising a lot of people with the way that they've been playing. In particular, Algin Melesio has hit already 3 career-high games in terms of scoring. Algin just happens to shine under his former college coach. So what do you have to make of him and what Coach Alden Ayo is doing with Converge?
Well, you know, Melencio, even Algin in high school, he's a scorer. He was dominant. He scores 40 points. I mean, obviously, you're with your college coach Ayo, who gives you confidence. And it's just not Melencio. You know, this game, it was Melencio coming to the call of Coach Ayo. But these guys are playing good basketball. And it's an unorthodox type of basketball. You know, the teams that have won recently in the PBA like to slow it down in a series, like to, as a series progress, you don't see an up-tempo kind of game. And I think everybody's getting shocked by the way Converge is playing because they're shooting the three ball well. They have an import in Miller, who's versatile, who's not like a back to the basket guy. So he's a hard matchup to have. But they're responding to Coach Ayo right now, and people are complimenting them with their offense, but they're playing sound defense, which is allowing them to push the ball back.
All right, Aljun, we're very happy for him breaking out like that. Jeron Teng played a very good game also for them. You mentioned the import Quincy Miller, but when he got ejected, that's when Converge actually brought the lead back or widened the lead. How did they do that when a lot of people thought, oops, this is an opportunity for NLEX, but it didn't come out that way?
That's a good point, Boom, because normally when your import goes down, you know, there's a chance for the team to come back. And NLEX has been playing well. You know, they've been a team. Obviously, they've had a coaching change, but you expect them to come back. But sometimes that can work against you where you feel a little pressure. You're supposed to come back, right? But you credit Converge. Without their import, they stuck to what they do. And this is where you can see they're playing sound as a team. It's Aljun scores, but there are other guys there chipping in, and they just seem like they have a nice step with them. Right? You can see the passion. They're enjoying. They're smiling. Stockton the last game came up and played well. And guys who found themselves at the back of the bench at the start of the season, veteran guys, are coming to the fore. So, you know, you credit Coach Ayo. It's hard to come in to fill in just like that one conference. We know how Coach Jeff Carriazo has built this team, and I think he's just continuing the team. I mean, it's formed. We know that the success in terms of making the finals has not been there. It's relatively a young team, but this team is just as deep as any team, a Rain or Shine or a Meralco, and they're hungry. They're hungry, and that's why they're playing with a lot of energy.
Well, it shows in the way that they play, again, near the top of the standings, actually, because of the fact that you beat Bay Area, Coach, maybe in contention for a twice-to-beat advantage later on in the conference. So let's see if that will happen there. But, Coach, we're not going to let go of you yet because we're going to move on and talk about more hoops.
That's right. After the break, we'll shift to collegiate action, as Paulo mentioned, as we find out the latest standings in the UAAP Season 85 Men's Basketball Tournament. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back. You're still watching the game. We witnessed another exciting quadruple header in the UAAP over the weekend. Basketball analyst Coach Luigi Trillo still joins us to talk about those teams that got crucial wins as we inch closer to the Final Four. Coach Luigi, welcome back. We were talking about comebacks earlier with the PBA. There were a couple of big comebacks also in that quadruple header, both from 19 points. But let's start with the team who did not allow a comeback. UP taking care of business in that game and then goes up to 9-1. They clinch a Final Four slot. Your impressions? Are you shocked? Are you surprised? Or is this par for the course for UP?
No, I'm not. I think they were the first seed. I think the coaching staff, Coach Monteverde, is doing a great job there. They have the pieces to come back. They're confident. They have the experience there. So no shocker there. I am surprised though that FEU and LaSalle are not in the top 4 right now. I think before the season, everybody was saying that the favorites would be UP, Ateneo, obviously, because of their success, and LaSalle with what they did in the preseason.
Let's save LaSalle for last, Coach, because I'm still in pain right now. I'm sure a lot of LaSallians are. But let's first talk about Adamson, because again, coming up clutch against a UST team who really has nothing to lose whenever they play nowadays. Without the Jerome Lastimosa still finding a way to get it done, Adamson, what are your thoughts on how they've been performing and how they look?
I think it was important what they did at the half, right? Down 19, you're supposed to be a gunner and you don't have your main guy. I mean, you see LaSalle without Shawnee Winston, right? You don't have Jerome Lastimosa, and then all of a sudden, they have to scratch and claw, and it comes down to the final buzzer. And that's the beauty of college sports, you know? They're rolling right now. They're trying to show and prove that they belong. And obviously, this was such a great game for UST to win. They're struggling a bit. The fantastic game, Coach Balda. But credit Coach Nash. He's been there for a while in Adamson. And I think that halftime talk with Coach Fermin also, where they gathered the troops and told them to shoot with confidence, mattered. And, you know, the next guy up, Cedric Manzano, had a sensational game. Right. And then everybody else followed.
Yeah, no Vince Magbu's also with that knee injury, 19 points down, grinding it out till the very end and getting the lead till the very end. Something that happened also after that, FEU ahead by 19 on a 4-game winning streak. Fans are getting into it, but National University, who've been saying that they want to play with the big boys, you know, brought out the guns in that game and came back. Your thoughts on NU and that win and them looking forward, because they're looking good, Coach.
You know, the funny thing, Boom, I did the Ateneo LaSalle game from Signal, and FE was playing amazing, you know, and rightfully so. They just beat LaSalle. They've turned things around. They're on a winning streak. And then when I came to the studio, NU was up already. And again, it's just, that's why it's the beauty of college basketball. Both games, one after the other, where you have teams down 19 and they find ways. I think Coach Jeff Napa has really turned it up a notch because they want to say they belong. And I think if you look at it, I am listening to the experts and I've done a bit of research. They really said that 4 seed is a toss-up between obviously FEU, NU, and Adamson, right? Everybody was saying LaSalle would be there and Ateneo is there, but you credit NU. I think nobody thought they would be in the top 2 right now, and they knocked out some of the seeded teams. And the way they're playing, you know, they don't seem as athletic as the other teams, but they're playing well. They're playing together, and that coaching staff has really made this team play defense. And the few times I've been able to watch NU and cover the games, what I like about them is they're not afraid to mix it up. Sometimes they run their man, sometimes they run their zone, and a lot of scrappy guards. So, you know, different thing when they reach the Final Four, but for now, it seems like they're headed there.
Absolutely, Coach. And just a quick shout out to guys like Patrick Yu, who ended up with 8 points in that 4th quarter. And of course, Manansala with another great game with 12 and 8. Now, moving on to the topic I least like, Ateneo and LaSalle. Ateneo, this is a weird game, Coach, because both teams needed the win because they were struggling. They have been struggling as of late. And Ateneo just hit LaSalle with everything they got in that second half. Just how important was this for Ateneo? And of course, how do they look in your mind?
It's huge for Ateneo because remember, they're coming off a loss against NU. But my thing is, it's harder to face an Ateneo team after a loss. Sometimes they can let their guard down, right? And credit LaSalle, they started out like a house on fire. They were able to make shots and run. And I think the difference, the adjustment of Ateneo here in the second half was they stayed away from the pick and roll. They used more of a spread offense and they didn't allow Kwame to post. In the first half, LaSalle was doubling. They were making sure that they weren't having Kwame go post up, and they were making sure that that defense was scrambling around, which LaSalle wants. When LaSalle is scrambling and running the run and jump from the full court, or when they're doubling at the post at the half court, it makes it a faster game. And I think that's LaSalle's advantage. But here in Ateneo's side, give them credit in the second half. They didn't turn the ball over. They adjusted their motion offense. They didn't run the pick and roll as often at the start. They run it to the course to the end. They didn't post up Kwame. There they posted up Balungay. And this kind of game time adjustment worked. And I think when their shots started to fall, it was game over for LaSalle. You feel for LaSalle, there's such a thing as also timing. I've been there as a coach where sometimes you need everybody there, and you enter a series and one or two key players go out, and you don't have Shani Winston, right? So this is a guy who they rely upon. 21 points, he's huge. When they need a bucket at the half, half-court set, they're able to make it. And then that fuels now their pressure defense. But if you're not able to make shots, and Ateneo is known to capitalize on that, they push the ball. Very hard to defend against Ateneo.
27-10 in the third quarter after 29 all in the first half. That was the big quarter, and LaSalle missing, obviously, the services of Shawnee Winston, among many others throughout their losses, but the big number, of course, was Shawnee Wilson.
And of course, yes, Coach, I do feel for LaSalle. Thank you very much for coming on the show and giving us your insights. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you can catch more of the UAAP action on One Sports, One Sports Plus, the UAAP Varsity Channel, Signal Play, and Smart Giga Play. After the break, we'll recap the exciting matchups that happened in the PBL Reinforced Conference last Saturday in Santa Rosa, Laguna. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. Volleyball fans in Santa Rosa were treated with two incredible contests as the Petro Gazz defeated PLDT and Creamline kept their record blemish-free in their win against Cherry Tigo. With us to talk about the two key matchups is PBL analyst Neil Flores. Neil, are you still there in Santa Rosa or have you made it back? I'm not quite sure. How are you?
Hi, Pao. Hi, Boom. Always happy to be here.
Okay,
But he didn't answer the question.
He didn't answer the question.
Okay.
I'm
So
assuming
we
he's still down there. All right, so first off, let's talk about the Petro Gazz and PLDT game. Obviously, a lot riding on that, a lot very much talked about. Your initial thoughts looking at the result?
And that was a hotly contested match, to say the least. PLDT had control in set number 1, and they actually had control in set number 2 as well. But when Fiola Ceballos went down after that cold muscle, left, I think that was a cold muscle on the left calf.
Yeah.
Pero parang she was holding on to her knee. That was when everything went downward for the high-speed hitters. Miss Worldwide, Lindsay van der Weide had another breakout game with 24 points, but she also had support from 3 of the local players of the Gaz Angels. The 3 had double digits. This was MJ Phillips, Myla Pablo, and Jonah Sabete. So they were able to improve their win-loss record to 3-1. And with the looks of it, they're on track in entering the semifinals. And for the high-speed hitters, this was the 4th straight loss after that opening win here in the Reinforced Conference.
Yeah, that was big, and obviously there was a crucial moment that could have turned the game around, or at least have gone to a 5-setter, which would have made that game 50-50. But I want to ask you, Neil, I'm curious, do you think Petro Gazz is stealthing through this Reinforced Conference? A lot of talk about Choco, Creamline, F2. They're just going about their business. All of a sudden, you look at the team standings, and they're 3-1. They're looking good with a very, very good import too.
I think the word that I was looking for was they're very focused. They're low-key when it comes to their games. We know that most of the hype is with Creamline or Chocomucho or F2 Logistics. Pero itong si Petro Gazz, whatever, or whoever team that they face, they just keep their game plan every single time. And Janelle Cheng was, for me, the key player in that win against the high-speed hitters. She found a way to turn the tides kasi nung simula, PLDT was in control on offense. But when she started distributing the balls more, not just to Lindsay van der Weide, that was the time that they were able to create separation. And yes, there was a long lull time, especially in set number 4.
Correct.
And that could have affected the high-speed hitters, or that might have not gone their way.
Right.
So for Petro Gazz, they're still trying to add on more wins. Dalawa na lang yung kailangan nila to get to magic number 5. And as for the high-speed hitters, their chances of entering the semifinals medyo lumalabo na, but they would still want to end their campaign here in the Reinforced Conference with wins.
Absolutely, and of course, again, 1-4 PLDT trying to. Well, let's see whether or not they can put in together a couple of wins. Now, the game after that, Creamline against Cherry Tigo, another hotly contested one, and great viewing for all the fans. Really could have stayed up all night for that. You take a look at what we saw, and it was just an incredible last frame in particular as well, Neil. What did you have to say about that?
Aside from the third set, all of the sets were really close. I mean, that's precisely why the Santa Rosa Sports Complex was sold out.
Right.
It was the battle of the two undefeated teams. Cherry Tigo and the Creamline actually had a lot of double substitutions. And itong mga double substitutions, it was actually their keys to the victories in those specific sets. For Cherry Tigo, it was Dindin Manabat Santiago and Alina Bicar. And for the Creamline Pool Smashers, it has been Michelle Gumabao and Kyle Negrito. And Michelle Gumabao was the key to that victory in that specific set. She had an instant 5-point production coming off the bench. And the fact that they were all locals in that specific rotation dun sa starting unit, that just says a lot about the talent or yung pagka-solid ng Creamline as a team.
Yeah, obviously both in the semifinals already, but you know that both didn't hold back in that match, Cherry Tigo. These are teams that met in the finals a couple of conferences ago. A lot was at stake, especially from a pride standpoint. Cherry Tigo, I know, wanted to measure themselves, obviously, with these champion teams. Even with the loss, Cherry Tigo looking good to you, Neil, right?
Yeah, they're still good. I mean, sure na sila dun sa semifinal slot. And the fact that Helena Sivijovic is speaking at the right time, that would be good news for Cherry Tigo because my eyes were on Mylene Pa during that game. She did score 14 points, but alam natin yung average niya nasa 20 plus eh. And we were looking for more offense dun sa reinforcement ng Cherry Tigo. So now that she's taking on more production, yun yung pinaka-kakailanganin ng Cherry Tigo come the semifinals. Because trust me, when we enter that round, it will be the battle of the reinforcements. Yes, local support will be there, but whoever will get the most out of the reinforcement will also get into that championship round.
Now, just really quickly, of course, we're also still looking forward to what's going to happen at the Big Dome. Of course, there's going to be a big match there involving Creamline as well, Neil. A lot of eyes will be on that. What are you most excited for?
Oh, this is the match that people have been waiting for. I mean, it's common knowledge that before we had two leagues here in the Philippines, and for the F2 Logistics Cargo Movers, they were the reigning queens in that specific league. And for the PBL, it has been the Creamline Pool Smashers getting most of the championships. So I would say that tomorrow's game in the Big Dome, buti na lang sa Big Dome, it's only fitting that we host that highly anticipated matchup there. I will be covering for the live stream. So magkakaalaman. It's going to be a battle of the champion teams here in the Philippines.
Champion versus champion, a matchup years in the making. Neil, maraming salamat. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the match tomorrow. Now, guys, you're very welcome. Now, if you're looking for more volleyball, we got it. Head on over to the PNVF airing on One Sports and One Sports Plus. You can also catch the games live starting at 8 a.m. at the Phil Sports Arena in Pasig. That's it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
And I'm Paulo Del Rosario. This has been The Game.